What a beautiful Sunday afternoon here at Iwane Station in Chiba. And at the start of the day, I was working. So, I was working. The hotel's not far from here. And I'm going to hop on this train and we're going to head out to the east side of Chiba. We're going to go to Togane. And we're going to hit up one of the smaller Surugayas. So let's get on board here. We're going to take a ride. We're not going to jump right into the cookies and cream. Let me just show you guys a little bit of this countryside. Although the Japanese countryside, Japan's a small nation. And I don't know. I'm from the American countryside, and it's not the same. Definitely different, but it has its charm. I'm not saying otherwise, but it's just so compact. It's like in little patches. And I believe this is Oami Station. I can't remember the exact name, but I had to do a few transfers, and that's the kind of commitment that I have to get to some of these places. But beautiful, Japanese countryside. And in the air, you could smell like the crop. And I think it was actually a burn day too. And I had that nostalgic smell that I'm so used to. But anyhow, we're almost there. We're gonna get to Togane, and here we go. Look at this little quaint town. And this is gonna be where the action is gonna be going down at the Sumpia Mall. It's actually an Eon Mall, but this is gonna be one of the smaller Surugayas. And right away, we're going to go into the showcase. We're not going to waste any time here. I'm looking for a Game Boy Micro. I'm still in the market. Now, they didn't have any Game Boy Micros, but as you can see, they had Advance SP. And one thing to keep in mind, this place is a little bit more removed than other places, but you don't really have to head out here thinking that you're going to find a deal. It doesn't work like that any longer, because Surugaya, their system is like nationwide and they price things accordingly. So you can head to like a Surugaya like in Tokyo, Saitama, closer to Chiba, Kanagawa, but closer to like the Tokyo area, and you're gonna find just as good deals. In fact, the last time I was out in the Surugaya in Yokohama, I found some amazing deals. But anyhow, let's not take away from the glory of this store, and let's focus on the images at hand. Here we got some Switch stuff. But again, I guess I'm going to digress here. Because if you're hunting for like newer stuff, exclusively for like Switch, PS4, PS5, don't waste your time coming out here. Just go to Akihabara. There's good deals. And 220 for Tekken 2. Anyhow, let's see what we got here. We got some Soul Calibur 3. I have that, and I might get rid of it. I have Soul Calibur 3, but I haven't... I don't know. Maybe I'm not the biggest Soul Calibur fan. I just got to come to terms with it. I like part 1 on the Dreamcast. I have part 2 on both the Cube and the Xbox. But I think that's where and Soul Calibur 4, that's pretty good too. Anyhow, I'm not really sure what this is. Kind of an interesting one there. We got some Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Rising. I have that. I bought it at Walmart and it came with the soundtrack, but I haven't beaten the game. In fact, I haven't really even played it, which is a shame. I need to dedicate some more time to that. But the PS1 games, we got Rally de Africa. They also had one, Rally de Europe or something, by this Prism Arts. I have this game, but mine has a different cover. And maybe the one with the different... I don't know which one. Maybe they added stuff. But here we have Ray Tracers. Now, this is by Taito, and it's kind of like a spiritual successor to Chase HQ and Special Crime Investigation. Not really sure what this is, but this is a human game by human. I think their claim to fame was, Clock Tower? And look at this one. World Touring Car Championship, WTC, with the foily cover. I do like these early 3D racers. We got Wipeout there, the original, for $24.50 next to that. And then we have this, The Adventures of Robin Lloyd. Now, this is available on the Japanese PSN, 3,800 yen. I haven't seen that one before. And then we have Lucky Luke. I believe this is he's of Belgian origin. And look at that, 9,100 yen. That's a bit of an uncommon game. I don't know if it's rare per se, but anyhow, we got Marvel versus Capcom. This is the lowest price that I've seen on the PS1, 2,970. And at the time, when I first saw that, I told myself that I was going to pick it up. But this Surugaya threw me a couple curveballs. Y'all are going to see. Believe me, what do we have here? We got X-Men versus Street Fighter, Area 51. And then we got Castlevania Chronicles, 8,400 yen. That's one of my favorite Castlevanias. And then we got Symphony of the Night. We got R-Types. And Vampire. Beautiful game, 1,000 yen. An excellent game. There's Croc and Gunpei. Gunpei got a release on PS1. Thunder Force 5. And then Space Jam, 3,360. This was also released for the Sega Saturn. And I remember seeing it back in the 90s, but I never paid it much mind. There's that Gunpei, 950. And then Croc. And then here's a great one. Capcom versus SNK Pro, 5,700 yen. We got Kilik the Blood 2. And then what do we have? I don't know what the heck this is. It could be a good one. I don't know. Sometimes some of those games, they might be, not up your alley, but sometimes they have pretty good music. Here we got a simple 1500 series game. And then we got the Game Paradise 2 by old Jellicoe. And I would like to get part 1. And then here we got this, 9,300 yen for Gambare Goemon, Oedo Dai Kaiten. I recently picked it up. I got the PS1 books version for 1,680. Here's Angel Eyes, 7,100 yen. But that Goemon game, excellent game, very, very good, and it's totally like the Super Famicom titles, but an excellent game. What else do we have here? Keep it coming, man, with these PS1 games. I'm at the hotel, and I brought my PS1 LCD combo unit, and I'm just having a blast playing some PS1. I've actually beaten a few games already, and it's a great way to tackle the old PS1 backlog. Highly recommended that PS1 LCD combo. Let's take a look at some PS2 action here. We got some Biohazard, Gun Survivor 2. I have that, and it's a bit of a goofy game, and they got a lot of mecha games on the old PS2. Here we got the Rumblefish, the sequel being on the Switch and I believe the PlayStation 4. A lot of good fighting games. And guys, we're going to be bouncing around. There's going to be jump cuts. Not on the vein of like Stanley Kubrick style, but believe me, it's going to happen. What do we have here? Groundbreaker. That looked like a cool cover. Capcom Classics Collection. I have this for the OG Xbox and for the PSP. And I have Volume 2 on the PS2. And then we have Killer 7, 2,340. This is when Capcom betrayed Nintendo. That was a part of like the Capcom 5, I believe. That story, it's an amazing story. That Trio the Punch. We got Vampire Darkstalkers Collection. That's an amazing collection too, by the way. We got Initial D. And then we have Curse of Darkness, Castlevania, 3,480. So slightly lower than other places that I've seen. And that one is not so common. It's not rare, but it's not, I don't see it all that often, considering the frequency that I hit up these places. What else do we have here? Let's go around the bend here. We got some movies. The last Blu-ray that I bought was The Terminator. It was like 600 yen. Freaking Blu-ray, and it came with the movie poster, which was really cool. We got Earth Defense Forces 2 Portable Version 2. That's a fun little series. And then we have this Beautiful Joe. This seems to be in the same vein as Smash Bros. 2,250. I kind of want to try that one. But I don't want to have it in the collection. I just want to try it. You know what I mean? Anyhow, what do we have? What do we have here? Let's just keep making our way. And let's hit up some Sega action. Beautiful Sega. You come to Japan and be grateful that you can browse Sega games here. Check this out. We got Sonic the Hedgehog, Saint Sword. We got Rambo 3 for 7,900 yen. Now, my initial feeling of this shop was that, first of all, it's kind of cool because it's definitely the smallest Surugaya that I've ever been to. But in regard to pricing, I felt that it was a little bit outdated in that the prices were a little high. Here's Garo 2 for 13,400 yen. And Samurai Showdown on the old Mega Drive is also expensive, coming in at 9,970 yen. But the original Garo, or Fatal Fury, is like below 2,000 yen. But here we have Outrun 7,600. You could find that one for about 5,000. Look at the beautiful cover to Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon on the 3DO, 5,300 yen. Now here, this is the initial walkthrough. We're going to be bouncing back to some of these places and checking out what else they have. Here we have Salamander on the PC Engine for 7,500 yen. We got the Ninja Warriors for 9,800 yen. That I feel is a bit... Well, that's for the Mega CD. So, well, it makes a little bit more sense. I do have a copy of that on the Mega CD. An amazing soundtrack, too. Ninja Warriors on the PC Engine, 5,300. Here we have Alien Crash. What else do we have here? We got some Ballast 2 for 4,780. And then Dragon Ball Z. I wonder how this one is. It looks like it's a fighting game. But it doesn't I like the cover, but I'm not really into the... If I'm being honest, I'm not really into the Dragon Ball Z games. I love the series, but... here we got some more Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon. And then Flash Hiders, or Hivers. What the heck is this? This is a fighting game. I'm going to have to look this one up. 4,600 yen. It could be a good one. And, fighting games are a bit of a rarity on the PC Engine platform. And I do love my fighting games. What do we have here? We got some Choaniki. 4,240. I believe that version is also available on modern platforms, if I'm not mistaken. Here we got Metal Wolf Chaos for 9,200 yen. Now, this is a super common game. I see it everywhere, and it's expensive everywhere. We got Mushihime Sama Futari. We got Death Smiles 2. And look at the beautiful cover to Tenchu for 1,130 yen. But it's nice that they have Xbox 360 titles here. ESP Galuda 2. I have that on the Switch. And then Killer is Dead, 2,270. That's the premium edition. And then Road to Hill 30 on the original Xbox. And check this out. Tokyo Game Show 2003 premium disc. This is definitely a collector's item. And I have seen this one before. And I think the last time that I saw it, it was less money. They were asking for less at the other shop. I think it was in Guru Guru. Up in Gunma. Here we have Bug, 6,740. And then Puyo Puyo, that's that RPG down there, 3,900 yen. And then, what do you have here? Marvel Superheroes. Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter for 5,600 yen. A very cool game. We got Biohazard for 2,280. Virtual Fighter 2. And then this Deca 4-wheel off-roading game. Look at the graphics on this thing. Now, this is a game by Human, but I wonder how the performance is. We got Daedalus there. Super common game. We have Strikers 1945, 4,980. Great game. That's Strikers. And we got Salamander Deluxe Pack Plus. Another excellent game. Side Pocket 3. Some Cyberbots. Now, a lot of these games, I feel like at the Surugayas that are closer to, the Tokyo Bay side, as well as in Saitama, a lot of those Capcom fighting games are going to be less. Here we got some Shin Megami Tensei 9. That was an exclusive to the original Xbox. And I think it came bundled with one of the consoles. But here's Sam Show. 9,000 and some change. I wonder how that port holds up. The sprites definitely look a lot bigger than the Super Famicom. And just kind of retreading here. We got Super Street Fighter 2X, 3,830 on the old 3DO. That one can still be found for about like 2,000 and some change. Here we go. We got some disc systems. What's the damage here? 10,000. Yeah, for sure you can find that for less. And then 22,330, I believe, for the OG Xbox, which that seems to be about normal. At least, you know, finding one in the box. If you find it loose, it could be as low as like 2,000 yen. That's what I paid at Retro Game Camp. And it was working. It was console only, and that's currently my main Japanese unit. We got Way of the Warrior, 9,700 yen. World Heroes for 13,500. There's Spriggan and Terraforming there for 16,000. We got Body Count 2, Wolfang for 15,400. Tech Romancer, Rocket Knight with no manual, I believe, for 14,400. I found a copy of that at the Surugaya in Yokohama, and I paid like 7,000. 11,300 for Zero Wing. Again, that one can be found for about 6,000. But they had 3 copies of the Rocket Knight, and then here's part 2 for 4,000 and some, or 40,000 and some change, next to Contra Hardcore. Now that Sparkster 2, I picked that up, and that's what was holding me up at the store. Now with me, you know, I pick up some of these more pricier titles. I try them out, and if I don't like it, I just get rid of it. And I might lose a little bit, I might gain a little bit, or I might break even. But you know, some of these games I really want to try. In my preference is, you know, just doing it with the original hardware, just because I'm stuck in those old ways. You know what I mean? We had 2 copies of Akumajo Part 1 and 2 on the disc system. 15,000 for rock. Look at this beautiful thing. I had to interrupt myself there. This is the Capcom version of the ASCII Pad FT, 12,800 yen, and I should have picked that up, man. We got Lunatic Dawn for the PCFX for 11,100 yen. That's also on the PS1, and the PS1 of Lunatic Dawn, beautiful cover. And check this out, 40,000 there for the Last Blade on the Neo Geo Pocket, but it had like the different, the little shock box. Typically that one's in the cardboard. Oh man, I want a copy of Contra the Hardcore. Great game, and I've beaten it many times, but I want more. Y'all know how it goes. We got Zelda 2 there. Although with Contra Hardcore, yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a while, maybe. Here we got Sonic Advance 2, Part 1. I think Part 1 or Part 2, one of the two of Sonic Advance includes a big sticker. And who does not love stickers? What else do we have here? We got Chibi Robo for 1,950. Not a bad selection of Cube titles. We got some manuals, I believe, maybe. And then we have Beach Strikers. This is a Sega game, so it's probably good. 2,340. Like those arcadey sports games by Sega, they're a freaking blast. Virtua Striker comes to mind. Here we have Goemon, 3,420. I love the music in that game. And then we have Castlevania 64. I was playing through that like last year, and I just kind of left it in the middle of things, but I need to get back to it. Here we have Tatsunoko versus Capcom on the Wii. Now in Japan, there's 2 versions, and All Stars is the one that you may want to go for, as that includes like additional characters. The North American version is the revision, which includes all those characters. And I still have a copy of that North American version after all these years. Here we have some Pocket Monster games. And then Hakune something, the idol chick, virtual girl, whatever. What else do we have here? We got some Final Fantasy on the old Famicom, 8,300 yen. And what else do we have? Another Jalico game. That looks pretty good. I believe City Connection has all the licensing for the Jellico games. Jellico. And then Fantasy Zone 2 for 6,880 yen. A beautiful little foil cover there. And it looks like Sunsoft were responsible for porting that over. This was the golden age of Sunsoft, the 8-bit era. Then we have some Super Famicom stuff. We got Area 88 for 5,400 yen, but the box was a bit damaged there. And I do want to pick up a copy of that, but again, no biggie. I think UN Squadron was the name of the arcade release, and I do have that as part of like the arcade, the Capcom arcade collection on the old Switch. We got Saturday Night Slam Masters. And what do we have here? Final Fight for 4,000 and some change. And then Dragon Ball Z for 1,960. At the moment, I'm kind of cooling it down with the Super Famicom collection. I think I have a few games that I want to play before acquiring more. Play these games and see if they're worthy of holding on to for longer, or just letting them go and moving on. That's how it goes. Buy, sell, and trade, man. What do we have here? We got some Super Adventure Island. That's a great game. Excellent music too. Look at all these Rockmans. Rockman 4 there for 8,800 yen. Part 5 for 5,700, and Part 6 is going to be expensive. Yep, 12,700 yen. I have the complete works on the PS1. I'm just missing Part 3. And a great little collection of Rockman games there for the PS1. I got rid of the Rockman collection on the 3DS. But here's Mappy. This is a great game. I do love Mappy. Maybe that's the most retro that I'm willing to go. Some of the older retro stuff is just too simple for me. 6,370 for Super Mario Bros. 2. I found it in the previous episode. What was it, like 12,000 or 1,200 or no, 1,360, I believe. Let's see here. What else we got? What else? Not a whole lot of hardware. 11,800 for the Astro City Mini. We got this Saturn here for 6,300 yen. The Lethal Enforcers. Look at this. Look at this pink Justifier. Beautiful. 5,900 yen. Then there's the PS1 mouse, the Get Bass fishing accessory, and then the maracas. 14,046 yen. I remember those things used to be like 2,000 yen in the box. 15,500 for the Sega Saturn. 16,000 for the Orange Spice GameCube. But those maracas, they seem to have jumped up in price like overnight, it seems. But again, it's not something that I'm really interested in myself. And I think that's why it's surprising that they're super expensive. 1,840 for the Virtual Cop gun. Now let's head back over here, and we got some Switch games, various controllers here. The Astro City controller for 5,000, and that's a beautiful Hori Fight Stick Mini. But they had another showcase. Now this was a nice little find. I could have missed this, but we got Super Pang 9,400 yen, the Fireman for 15,000, and then check this out, Fire Emblem 50,300 yen. Now there's three Fire Emblem games on the Super Famicom, and obviously this is the most expensive one, and not a very common title at that. What do we have here? Parodius games. Not really sure what that one in the back, that with the 12 on it. What is that? Parodius Forever With Me. We got another copy of Area 88, and then Contra Spirits back there. Rockman X3 for 15,600. What else do we have here? Another Contra Spirits. I think they had a copy of Sparkster back there, and I just now realized that. It looks like it anyway. We have Nage Libre. And what the heck is this? Wizardry Empire. And then Castlevania Adventure, 18,600 on the old Game Boy. That's an awesome game. Bionic Commando for 17,500. 18,000 for World Heroes 2 Jet. Parodius 12,180, and those are all on the Game Boy. Freaking Game Boy, man. King of Dragons there for 14,000. We got Earthworm Jim, just the loose cart, for 7,600 next to Macross Scramble Valkyrie for 15,200. Captain Commando loose cart, 8,100 for the Super Famicom. And then we have Nemesis 2, 2,860. I do want a copy of that on the old Game Boy. And looks like they have a Circle of the Moon there for 9,500. They had the Minish Cap as well. And then we have another Pokemon game for 9,400. Quite a bit of Pokemon stuff up here. $5,500 for Donkey Kong Bonanza on the old Switch 2. And they had 20,000 there. Well, there's Bare Knuckle on the Game Gear for $34.80, but 20,000 for a Metroid Zero Mission on the GBA. And what else? And look at this, Psybuster, metal something, I forget. 14,280. Now look at this. Now this is a nice surprise, worthy of the sound effect. Street Fighter Alpha, 6,200 for the Game Boy Color. And then we had Contra there for the Game Boy Advance for 7,400. We got the Silent Hill GBA title for 8,500. So there's some pretty good stuff in here. But, you know, pricing, that's going to be the big thing that divides many people. Let's look at some Neo Geo CD. 3,440. Let's get out of there for a minute. We got Art of Fighting 3, 4680. That's a great game, Art of Fighting 3. Not really sure what this one is. Some kind of puzzle game. And Puzzle Bobble, 6,400. And then we got The Last Blade. I think that was part 2. Capcom versus SNK, or maybe part 1. And then KOF R2 for the old Neo Geo Pocket for 5,500. Which, you know, that price is competitive, and it doesn't look to be sun-faded. Here's that Puyo Puyo RPG game for 3,900. And we're just kind of backtracking, making decisions. You'll know how it goes. Take your time when you're here. Just take it easy, nice and relaxed. Afterburner 2, 7,000. Now, Afterburner for the old Sega Saturn, the one that we just saw there, if you really want a copy of that, go to Book Off. Like 3,000 is what you'll pay. Paperboy there for 15,120. Interesting cover. Just like this one, DJ Boy, 2,500 yen. There is some notes there. I'm not really sure what kind of game this is, but I believe it's based off of an arcade game, which was the norm back then. We got Rolling Thunder 2 for 10,000 and some change. We got some more Sega Master System games with Outrun, 8,600. Space Harrier for 5,500 yen. And Rocky. And then we have Doom on the old 32X, 5,500 yen. Always nice to see Doom. What else do we have here? We got some Golden Axe, 5,730. And then Taito Memories. I was thinking about this one, because not all of these games... Well, maybe I need to check. Maybe all these games are a part of the arcade archives by Hamster. I'm not really sure what this is on the old PS2, but 7,100 yen. Looks like a cybernetic ninja guy. An action game. It could be a pretty good one. What, Chain Dive? Interesting. And then we have Metal Slug 4. 2,540. I got to get rid of my PS2 copy. I'm going all in on the Metal Slug Xbox games. What else do we have here? We got some Art of Fighting Collection, Rockman X7. And I don't know what the heck these titles are, but Fighting Vipers, 6,600 yen. I wonder how this version holds up. I'm sure visually it might be superior to the Sega Saturn version, but Space Channel Part 2 on the old PS2, and we saw it in the showcase for the Dreamcast. And then here we go, Edge of Sky High, 5,600 yen. I picked this up. What a nice little surprise. I love on-rail third-person shooting games, and I'm collecting them all for the PS1, and this actually had the Obi card in there. And it's actually, I'm looking at it right now. An excellent game, that Edge of Sky High. Look at that. I have it in my hand. I'm not going to let go of that. Le Mans 24 Hours Racing on the old Dreamcast. That also saw a PS2 release. We got Power Stone 2 for 7,500. 2,250 for the original Power Stone. And then Fire Pro Wrestling for, what was that, 860? Again, you know, like with the Power Stone games, they could be found for less on the Dreamcast at other Surugaya locations. 2,160 there for Street Fighter 3 and then Star Gladiator 2, 5,800 yen. Again, those two can be found for less. 5,800 for Daytona USA. You could find that for about 2,000 at the Surugayas in the Kisarazu area. Puzzle Bobble 4 for 45.80. I wonder how that one is. I love the Dreamcast. I love Puzzle Bobble. Maybe it makes sense. 4,130 there for Capcom versus SNK. We got Godzilla Generations for 1,780. And then Climax Landers. I forget the name of that game. Well, here's the fan disc for Capcom versus SNK. But that RPG, I forget the North American name. Maybe it was the same name. And I believe it was by Cave, which is kind of crazy. Anyhow, let's go. What do we have here? This is the final showcase. We got the Mega Drive Mini for 15,300. Behind that was the Armored Core 5 bundle. Then we got a PC Engine CD-ROM unit, a PlayStation Vita for 24,000, and then in the back, this might be one of the more rare GunCon 2 bundles for 10,600 yen, and it has like all those little mini games that are associated with that. Now check this out: 50% off, 108,000 yen for the Dark Souls Elite Knight Humanity Restored Edition. This box was massive. Anyhow, a great time at the Togane Surugaya. And here I was at the station. Now, this is the direction to go home. But if I go to the other side, I looked at my phone and one stop away. Freaking hard off, man. And these are the, making decisions, spur of the moment type deal. But, I was like, if I go there, I'm going to be getting home pretty late. But look how tempting it is to go on the other side. It's so close. And as a matter of fact, that's the next episode. So stay tuned, y'all, because we're going to be heading to Gumyo. Anyhow, ciao.